Get ready to redefine your summer style in this episode of the Threaded Together podcast. As the warmer months approach, the challenge of assembling the perfect summer wardrobe becomes a central focus. In today's episode, we will explore how to thoughtfully and intentionally elevate your summer wardrobe.
We'll cover everything from identifying the most impactful pieces that you'll want to wear season after season to exploring the concept of uniform dressing without the dullness. Plus, we'll provide invaluable tips on how to sew sustainably, minimizing your environmental impact while maximizing your personal style. It's going to be a fantastic episode.
It will. Hello, and welcome to the Threaded Together podcast, a podcast that stitches together home sewing and high fashion. We're your hosts. I'm Tracy.
I'm Rebecca. And it can be overwhelming when the seasons change and there are so many things you want to make, but only so much time. That's why in today's episode, we'll be discussing how to figure out what to sew this summer, from trending patterns to wardrobe staples.
This is a theme born out of our own personal challenges, prioritizing our summer makes.
This is our 18th episode, or season 2, episode 6 of Threaded Together, and we are so excited to have you.
We're thrilled to have you back listening to us again.
And don't forget to find us on social media at Threaded Together Podcast, where you can see what we're working on and keep up with us between podcasts. And of course, you can also find us at threadedtogetherpodcast.com. And if you do find us there, we are now sending out our newsletter every month, where you get a nice little sneak peek behind the scenes on what we're making. So make sure you give that a little subscribe when that pops up when you visit the website. We always start out our episodes with what we've been sewing this last month, and for today's episode, it perfectly introduces us to our main topic. So Tracy, what have you been working on lately?
Well, so if you recall, a couple of months ago, I mentioned I wanted to make a top inspired by the Ganni poplin peplum tie blouse that everyone was talking about. As luck would have it, just before I got to the point of hacking a pattern or drafting my own, Fabric Godmother released the fleur blouse dress pattern, which is a beautiful tie front on it. And different to the Ganni blouse, it's got a placket as well, which means that you don't have to worry about flashing your bra underneath. Mm-hmm. It's a really lovely pattern, and it comes with a dressmaker's B cup or a D cup option, so you don't necessarily need to do a FBA on it.
Nice.
I made a blouse and a white cotton poplin, and then also a dress in the fabric from their Le Weekend collection, which they launched with the pattern part of their Dream Wardrobe subscription, which I subscribed to. And so it was a really, really lovely pattern to make up, which I highly recommend. I've had lots of compliments on both the dress and the blouse already.
Tracy, I got secondhand excited for you. We both participated in the Sewing Weekender that was hosted by the Fold line, and they had this fabulous exclusive video of kind of behind the scenes, the making of the Le Weekend collection with the designer, I'm assuming, behind the Fabric Godmother. And she was talking about this dress and the blouse, and I was just beside myself because you had already made them. And I was like, she's wearing it. You're famous. Like, it was just so much fun.
Yeah, it was definitely a real treat to get the pattern early as part of the Dream Wardrobe subscription. So we got it a few days ahead of release, which gave me plenty of time to sew it up.
Quite the trendsetter.
And so it also made another fibre move, the Gabby dress, and I made that in like a gingham, which is quite fun. And I'm just waiting for a bit of sunshine and then I can wear it.
Quick question. What does the Gabby dress look like?
Okay, so the Fibre Mood Gabby has a triangular godé in the centre of the dress, giving it its shape. And it's also got balloon sleeves, so sleeves inside the sleeve to keep it like puffed out permanent.
Oh,
So it's quite fun, nice easy wear dress that just looks quite swishy and drapey and quite fun to wear.
sounds perfect for summertime.
And what about you, Rebecca? Have you done any sewing?
So I haven't been doing much new sewing in the past month since my husband was between work trips. So we've been catching up and traveling a bit. I did, however, find time to do some repairs on past makes of mine just in time for the end of May, right after our last episode, as kind of my own little contribution to a sustainable Me Made May. And that was a lot of fun and a good reminder that we can always apply our lovely sewing skills to our existing garments as well. But As we head into July, I'm teed up and ready to jump into my summer makes thanks to what we're discussing today.
And in today's episode, we want to look at how to thoughtfully and intentionally elevate your summer wardrobe.
We'll look at planning a sewing season to identify impactful pieces to our season after season.
And uniform dressing without the dullness.
We'll keep things fresh with trendy patterns and sew along.
And planning makes that help build your skills and keep things interesting.
The first things that are likely factoring into your planning for your summer wardrobe are seasonally appropriate clothes. And what an easy source of inspiration when the weather's hot and you can dream up the perfect, comfortable items you wish were in your wardrobe.
So when you think of summer outfits, I think lots of terms come to mind, but I think of like breezy, light, floaty dresses. I really
Mm.
love gathered dresses with loads of layers. You think of dopamine dressing, of bold, vibrant colours. You think of maxi dresses and dresses that are really airy, that keep you nice and cool, that aren't very fitted, allowing you to just waft around and look
Mhm.
glamorous. You think of jumpsuits and culottes and wide-legged palazzo pants and bold summer prints and florals and plaids and cool whites and broderie anglaise and just I love summer fabrics.
I do as well. During the year, I'm usually more of a trousers person than a dress person, but in the summer, that completely changes and flips on its head. So, yes, yes, yes to all of those breezy, light, floaty, all of the dresses. If you take a look in your wardrobe and these fabulous summer items are missing, the logical thing to do is to add a few to your list of makes.
Yes, it is. So, what are our tips for finding the best patterns to fill those gaps?
Indeed.
The beauty of summer wear is that once you have a good staple pattern in your wardrobe, you can hack it and make multiple versions of it to get your money's worth out of the pattern and real longevity out of the style. One of the patterns that I've got a lot of mileage out of over the years is the Deer and Doe myosotis dress, which in its original form is a slightly oversized shirt dress, and it's got some bust and waist darts, and then it's got a V neckline with a stand collar on it, I think it's like a mandarin collar. And I've hacked it to have longer sleeves, which is obviously really straightforward. But then I've played around with it and had more tiers and removed the collar, just made it a normal V-neck, and yeah, just really, really played around with it. And it's definitely a pattern that I've got a lot out of, and I've made some really wonderful dresses out of it. The kind of dress where you get a stranger complimenting you because you're just wearing this wonderful, swishy, fabulous dress.
I think that's definitely always the best because it's not just that the dress is fabulous, it's that it suits you as well.
Yeah, exactly that. So you can do that with all kinds of patterns and just make adjustments to them and make them your style. Long-time listeners know our love of hacking and adjusting patterns. And really, once you have something that fits and works for you and your style, the possibilities really are endless.
Absolutely.
So really, when it comes to finding a pattern that works for you, find a pattern that you like, that you're happy to take the time on to make it fit well, and then just keep hacking it to make it work for you more.
Agreed. And I think when you're picking summer makes that are specific to the temperature and the weather, this is a place to play around with the seasonality and trends that speak to you. Another example might be a good matchy look. Coordinated sets have been such a summer staple for a while, and I love them because you can make a full outfit without too much effort, and then split them up and wear them separately in pieces as well. A staple, of course, is a great shirt with maybe a fun bralette underneath and a matching pair of shorts or wide leg trousers. A cord set is almost like the suit version of summer wear. Does that make any sense?
I love a cord set, yes.
Tracy, do you have any makes on your list for the summer that fit this description that you're prioritizing making? And if so, why?
Well, I don't know, you're so right. A cord set is so versatile and such a good thing to make up and wear. A couple of years ago, I made the saguaro set by Friday Pattern Company in a coral linen, and it's like a crossover top with an elasticated finish to the bottom of the top, and then it's got elasticated top on the trousers and like long legged trousers, or you can make the shorts version. And I'd really like to make another set of that in another linen because it's just breezy to wear and just looks put together. But I've also seen people make versions where they've made it, in fancy fabrics that you can wear to a wedding. So it's quite a versatile pattern. But another pattern that I've shortlisted to make this summer, if time allows, is the Tamarama set by Swim Style Patterns, which is an Australian company, I believe. Australian pattern company. And they've got some cool like shorts and shirts combos that look like they go really nicely together. But I also have, some shorts and shirt patterns that I should really just mix and match and just make them the same fabric. What about you? Have you got any cord sets lined up, Rebecca?
Well, I did make a button-up shirt using, gosh, an Etsy pattern a while back that I need to dig up and add a link in the show notes. And while I wear it in the summer quite frequently, it's not the best summer weather fabric, made out of a vintage silk blanket that presses terribly. Fun fact, I'd actually planned on making a coordinated set with shorts and a bralette to go with it, but never got around to it after realizing how ill-suited the fabric was to what I had planned. So I think I'm going to try my hand at a full cord set at least one more time, but maybe this time with either a dead stock silk linen blend that I have, or I do always love an upcycled terry toweling option. And now that there is an overlocker currently spending some time in my house, that will make that a lot easier. And also, Tracy, your note on the summer dresses. So I have the Fiber Mood Lucille, which I think is a year old or so, partially cut out. And I'm excited to make that. And I think I might actually try making it in a couple of different fabrics. It just has a really nice tie front with like a little keyhole just under the bust, which I'm not really big on cutouts, but I think it just looks like a really easy dress to wear and to make and just throw on to run around in the hot weather. So that's absolutely something that I'm prioritizing to make this summer.
Nice. It's interesting when you say you made your shirt out of the wrong fabric, out of the silk vintage blanket, and that didn't really work as a summer item. And it raises a really good point because the fabric choices you make for your summer projects can really make them really, really wearable and something that you reach for again and again. Or if they're not quite weather appropriate, they just linger in the back of your wardrobe. So the
Mm.
properties you want from sewing with summer fabrics, summer projects, are for it to be really lightweight and breathable, and something that will keep you cool in the real heat and warm in the cooler evenings. So some of the best summer sewing fabrics include like linen, cotton, viscose, and silk. And so cotton has lots of subsets to it. So you've got like chambray and lawn and muslin and poplin and seersucker and voile. And the beauty of cotton and linen is that they're really lightweight and breathable, and they'll keep you really well keep you nice and cool. Viscose is another good choice because it's another breathable fabric. And then obviously the ideal is a nice lightweight silk, which will beautifully drape and will really keep you cool and fresh and can be a really nice fabric to wear in the summer.
Agreed. Do love a good silk in the summer.
Side note though, what was wrong with your one? Was it too thick or was it not proper silk?
I think it is. It has like a silk jacquard, but the thing was it wouldn't hold like a press to save its life. And so the shirt's fine to wear, but with the trousers, it was so bad. The shirt's a little bit better because I'll like press it and being lived in looks fine, but I just did not want to make something that I was trying to like have a structure with
Mhm.
and have everything just be like clean and crisp with that fabrication. But
Yeah.
I'm with you, like a silk in the summer is great. Like that blouse that I just made, it's like I really want a pair of pants to go with. It wasn't what you think of when you think of the hand feel and drape of silk.
The
It's
just like the coolness of silk is just absolutely,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
I made a dress out of Liberty silk last summer and wore it on a very hot day, and it was just An absolute divine
Mm.
divine thing to wear. I didn't feel hot and sweaty or anything. It was lovely.
I also think a good way to tell what works well in the summer too, because you'll see designers use it in those resort collections and things. So if you are like, would this work? Generally, they're going to make choices that are decent.
Generally.
But yeah, generally, yeah. But I think the problem that exists for a lot of people these days is that what they're looking at as silk probably isn't 100% silk. So
Mhm.
it really isn't that breathable. It isn't that light and cool because your polymix is not gonna feel the same way.
No, definitely not. So, Liberty Silk is the way forward. That's the
Yeah.
that's the answer.
Yes. So, something else I'm really interested in this summer is the concept of uniform dressing, but not in the traditional boring way. This keeps popping up for me because I have staple items, especially in the summer, that suit the many needs of the season, be it they're weather appropriate, office appropriate, comfortable, breathable, etc. And I keep reaching for them over and over, and they've truly become kind of like my summer uniform almost.
Uniform dressing is the concept of reducing your wardrobe to a set of essential items that can be mixed and matched to create many kinds of outfits, often with the intent of taking the effort out of getting dressed, much like a capsule wardrobe.
Absolutely. And I have a great example of an item that kind of fits this description. I have a slightly longer pair of wide shorts with great pockets. And I found a few pairs over the years of this style that fit really well, and they're all really similar. I have locked down the style. I love it, but I get so bored wearing them day in and day out because I could only ever find them in beige or black. And I do have like a faux patent to go and mix it up, but it's really not that exciting. So, a great make for me would be adding a tried and true item to my make list, but in an exciting way, such as in a print or bold color.
And summer shorts are a really great idea because they're really quick to sew up and they don't require that much fabric. So they're a really good scrap buster for using up your leftovers. And that means if you made a nice top, you can make a pair of shorts to go with them
Absolutely.
anyway.
Instant cord set. Once you've identified something like this that you would consider a staple in your wardrobe that you could use another of, a great next step is to either find a pattern that has the elements that you love of that piece, or even tracing that and making a new pattern from it. I have a great tip for how to identify those items in your closet. Basically, whenever it's in the wash and you find yourself wishing you had another one of that exact item, that is the perfect item to duplicate so that you do have more options. And by putting a fun spin on it, it can make a perfect expression of your personality.
That is definitely a great way to identify a wardrobe staple. And if you're making another version of something that you already have, it is a really good opportunity to go bold with the remake. Try a
Mhm.
fun print or a bold colour. Sewing with bold prints is such a fun sewing challenge as you can have real fun with the placement of the pattern pieces and really showcase the fabric.
Absolutely. And any fun tips for us, Tracy, on how to make sure that pattern placement looks good?
I think it really depends on the size of the print. Whether you want to pattern match it like exactly, whether you've got enough fabric to do that, or whether you just want to go with it. Depends on what you're making and the print, really. Anytime you're sewing with prints, though, you've just got to be quite mindful of certain placements of drawing attention or not drawing attention to certain points on your body.
Great point.
But other than that, have fun.
I think a remake of a uniform item should be at the top of everyone's list this summer because it's something you already know you'll get a lot of utility out of and you're already familiar with it. This is less about novelty dressing and more about creating a wardrobe you can mix and match season after season. Prioritizing one of these uniform items every time the weather changes will transform your wardrobe slowly but surely into one that you will absolutely love, full of options that are self expressive and you will enjoy wearing. On the podcast, we often say that trends are things we shouldn't follow since our goal is a sustainable wardrobe that suits our individual style. But when it comes to prioritizing our summer makes, I think there's absolutely a place for a certain kind of trend that can not only enhance your wardrobe, but help you build community as well.
That's right. And I mentioned earlier the fleur blouse and how excited I was by that pattern. And it's such a trendy style, and you can see bow tie tops across the high street right now. But using the hashtags for patterns is like a really good way of finding other sewing accounts to follow and see different ways that people have adapted and sewn the pattern.
And how exciting to be able to be a part of that
Mhm.
as add your piece to it and know that other people are also going to be looking at your item if you choose to share it
If you
with a
choose to
hashtag.
share it. Yeah, yeah.
But Tracy, this isn't the first time you've made a trending dress that has a large community around it, is it?
Oh, there definitely are some patterns that have a very large following and that, it seems to have been on every sewer's to make list at some point. So some of I don't know, the absolute classics that I've definitely sewn up include the Wilder gown by Friday Pattern Company. I think I've made like 6 of them, something like that, because it's just such a lovely dress and so easy to wear. And I
Yeah.
really, really, really like it. But because it's, been made by so many people, there's some really interesting hacks and adaptations that people have made that are really inspiring to look at and see for future ideas. Another one that I think everyone has to have made is the Zadie jumpsuit by Paper Theory, and that's like a jumpsuit, but it's got like a crossover tie on it, and it's really nice pattern. And I only made one of those actually, but I always intended on making more. So maybe I'll get there. And then obviously the peony dress, which we've talked about before by Fabric Godmother, is I don't know, I absolutely love that dress. I think I made 3 of those now. But there's some of the Vogue patterns are also really well made and get quite a good following. And that's again the beauty of the tags on Instagram, where you can just search for the tag of a pattern and see lots of examples of how it's been made.
We mentioned earlier that we both did the full line sewing weekender, and I was able to pop in for a bit into the group chat, which was so much fun and also a great place to connect with like minded sewists on what patterns people were making, enjoying, and recommending and why. And there was such a great moment where somebody was saying that they were waiting to make a pattern, but they hadn't seen anyone who'd made it yet. And then somebody else on the weekender turned on their camera and was wearing it. What a great way to really share that community and also information around kind of what to expect, how it fits, etc., beyond just what's in the pattern description. So it was just really such a fabulous moment.
So, for a fun, trend driven make this summer, you might want to look for patterns with a community aspect to them, such as sew alongs or Instagram challenges.
I love that. Another idea is to start with the community piece. While doing the sewing weekend, I came across a free virtual sewing meetup that looked absolutely amazing, happens regularly, and what a great way to meet some sewing friends and sew something together. I think I saw they've also done some sew alongs as part of that group, but I'll link them in the show notes if you want to check them out.
That sounds great. We are also big fans of the Sewing Bee here at Threaded Together, and the Fold Line does a fantastic roundup of similar patterns each week to the ones that were used in each episode. And that's a really fun place to find a pattern that comes with an active community as well to participate in it. And a couple of weeks ago, one of the episodes was about the French Riviera, and there were some incredible pieces there that I definitely wanted to put on my to make list.
Tracy, I apologize in advance, but quite a few chords as well.
Yes, indeed.
So, Tracy, are there any other trending sewing patterns or items that you're looking at tackling this summer?
So I have a running to sew list, and some of the items on it include items that we've touched on, like a nice cord set and a big bold floaty maxi dress, maybe some more shorts. What I also really want to make is a play suit type thing out of, I've got some Missoni knit fabric,
Oh,
and I've got
yeah.
like a vision in my mind of like a play suity type thing, and like sketched out what I've got in my mind.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. That sounds amazing. We all know that I struggle to find a pattern. So, this is something where I hope to find more of the community aspect will kind of influence me to find a pattern. But something we can do for everyone, Tracy, is list out different patterns that we talked about that have a lot of community. I'd love to also see what you're working on. Maybe we can have our own little sewing community around some of our summer makes.
Yeah, okay. I promise to share.
It's safe to assume that if you're listening to this podcast, you're someone who likes a good challenge. And that's the last big topic for how to organize our summer makes. What do we want to challenge ourselves with, or what skills do we want to acquire this summer season?
The nice thing about summer is the range of occasions. Everything from casual barbecues, beach holidays, weddings, festivals, to just sipping cocktails by the pool. And so you can really choose to make something to learn a new skill or challenge yourself with something you wouldn't previously have tackled.
I think we have a great example of that with both of us in our swimwear in our last episode. But this is an instance where the what you're trying to challenge yourself with might actually come first, and then you go look for a pattern to go with it. Or maybe you want to focus on a technique, choose a book, and then dive in and upskill from there. If you've been wanting to learn how to draft a pattern, that's a great skill to add to your list of summer makes, but maybe just for one small item to start out. Or perhaps you want to learn how to do something like the bust adjustment Tracy mentioned earlier that she didn't have to do, but knows how to do. And then you can find a pattern that you love the shape of, but are worried about the fit, and then learn how to make that modification in the process.
Yeah, all good idea. And like I say, I think there's so many occasions in the summer that you really can pick something that you want to, a skill you want to learn or practice, and there will be an occasion that you can sew to.
Definitely. I was in the Netherlands the other weekend and stumbled upon something called the House of Denim, a lovely shop and educational center with all things denim. They teach classes which look amazing. But while I couldn't stay for one of those, I did the next best thing and bought their book, which is called the Jean School Blue Book. I gave it a quick peruse, and there were so many amazing tips in it on how to sew denim properly. To give you an idea of just how detailed it was, there were 60 pages dedicated solely on how to sew the jeans part. One of the things I want to learn is how to make jeans properly. I'll be bumping up on my list a denim upcycling idea I keep pushing out in order to test out some of those techniques.
That sounds so exciting. That book sounds amazing.
Don't worry, I'll be oversharing with you the entire way. And hopefully I'll be able to report back on whether it's a must have.
It sounds pretty good. And I'm excited to see how your upcycled denim turns out.
And Tracy, are there any skills you're planning on trying to master this summer? Anything getting prioritized on your make list?
Well, I might make myself another swimsuit and, refine that a bit more. But really, I'm just happy with any sewing time that I get this summer. It's all quite busy. But I do want to make the by hand London Amalfi dress. And I've got this big print fabric, which I think will look spectacular in it. But it requires, first of all, making sure that the by hand London Flora bodice fits perfectly, fits really well, and then following their instructions to hack the dress into the Amalfi dress.
Ooh.
So I guess that would be good practice in terms of a perfectly fitted bodice, and because that's something that you've got to practice regularly to make sure you can still do it. And I haven't had my drafting tools out recently, so that'll be good fun to hack the dress with their instructions. Yeah, so that should be a fun make. And that's what I really want to do next.
That sounds amazing. And if I'm remembering correctly, Tracy, I think at the beginning of the year, you said you wanted to make more like bodices, corsets, and understructures and things. So I don't know if that plays into that.
I think we have to park that one for next year.
I mean, I said it was the year of the dress, but I've yet to make one.
I think I had bigger visions for the year than time is allowed. But I definitely do want to do that at some point.
In terms of sustainability, remember, you don't always have to be making brand new items, especially when you're trying to upskill. Maybe that means modifying something you already have, practicing a new technique like pleating or draping, and doing that in an upcycling format. And now I want to pleat or drape something that I already own. That sounds fun.
Definitely does.
Linking our topic of the day back to high fashion, runway trends, and of course, historical high fashion is one of my favorite parts of every episode. But the high fashion space at the moment is going through a bit of a turbulent time and is a bit uninspired. I was in Rotterdam over the weekend and I saw this young woman in a military liner style jacket walking down the street, but it was a different textile made into that jacket. The jacket fit her more like it was almost a swing coat. It was so oversized. And I was just incredibly taken by the look and tried to take a few subtle photos across the street as one does. And then on Sunday, when I had gotten back home and I was watching the latest JW Anderson show that was happening on the menswear circuit, the opening three looks were all, you guessed it, hugely oversized military liner inspired coats in metallic pastels.
Oh.
So oversized that they were dress length on the men wearing them. In this milieu of uninspired fashion, Jonathan Anderson has stood out as a bright spot for inspiration and carving new paths. But after seeing the young woman on the street, and for a note here, her jacket was also a metallic swirl of colors, I'm questioning whether Anderson is really creating the zeitgeist or just following it. So, all of that, what does it mean for you and your summer makes? Well, if the runways aren't the future of fashion, what is? According to the Articles of Interest, which is a fabulous podcast, their guest host for the episode on shoes, shoe historian Elizabeth Semmelhack said that she's quite sure the future is one of hyper individuality, custom fit, unique creations, and she references home sewers, knitters, crafters, and fashion entrepreneurs as that future state. So, our lesson from the runways this month is to focus on yourself. Everything we've talked about regarding finding the right makes for your individual style and personality that will enhance your wardrobe. And who knows, maybe the runways will be following you next season.
I love that. Focus on yourself.
And if anyone wants to have a lengthy discussion with me on why I think Jonathan Anderson is pulling towards crafts such as crochet while simultaneously putting forth clothing that's highly impractical and arguably more like non-wearable art, let me know. I'll buy you a coffee so I can talk your ear off because I have lots to say.
I'd love to hear more on that. I do recall though when we did a tour of our London exhibitions last year and we went to the V&A and we saw the incredible Jonathan Anderson jumper that was worn by Harry
Mhm.
Styles. And then next to it, there was one made by a home knitter, or was it crocheted? And they had the two versions side by side, so next to the original. And where Jonathan Anderson was so blown away by the recreations of the Harry Styles jumper that had been made, they released it as a knitting pattern. And I guess it definitely proves that he has a true love and appreciation of the home woolen crafts.
Absolutely. But I think simultaneously, it also shows the power of home sewers, home crafters.
Mm.
They were able to make patterns that were pretty much the same.
Mhm.
So who knows? Maybe Jonathan Anderson will be knocking you off next season. Hopefully not.
So, this is normally the part of the episode where we talk about what we will be working on over the next month. But I think that we've already covered that quite a lot today. So, Rebecca, any pressing topics you want to cover next?
Why, Tracy, how funny that you should mention that. In the next episode, we'll be discussing pressing and ironing, how they're different, and why this topic is much steamier than you might realize. This is a very practical episode, but it will also cover some unconventional information, such as how tailors shape garments using irons, and how professional ironing setups differ from a home sewer's, and why that matters. I mean, maybe not Tracy's home setup, but we'll get to that.
We'll discuss all the tips and tricks and tools and how you can apply everyday techniques from the world of couture that will get your garments pressed to perfection. Before our next episode, if you have any thoughts, ideas, or questions for us, you can always find us on social media at Threaded Together Podcast. In the meantime, I'm Tracy.
And I'm Rebecca, and this has been
Threaded Together Podcast.
See you next time.
Looking forward to our next episode in a month. Make sure you give us a thumbs up on Apple Podcast or follow us on Spotify. You can find more details on what we discussed today in the show notes below or on threadedtogetherpodcast.com. And for more behind the scenes and regular updates, you can find us on all social media channels at Threaded Together Podcast.